Hi, Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today's tutorial features this beautiful 3D card called the Framed Rosette card. I'm using some Daffodil Delight that I'm going to use a decorative mask with some embossing paste. Our base card is just simply basic white with our usual 5.5 by 4 1/4 and some lovely DSP. I'm also going to be using the Summer Shadows dies, and I've picked some cardstock that I want to use that's primarily very high contrast. I have some Just Jade for the leaves that I'm going to contrast with Evening Evergreen, some Highland Heather that I'm contrasting with Blackberry Bliss. I'm going to be using the Flowering Tulip stamp set. This is going to create our nice medallion that's going to go in the center of our rosette. And I'm going to be using these framelets that are going to create the frame around our rosette. The framelets are from the Scallop Contour dies, and we're going to be using some brushed metallic cardstock for that, as well as cutting out some circles that are going to frame our medallion over our rosette as well. Now for the background, I'm creating a really textured background using some decorative masks. Here it's out of the set of Plenty of Patterns. This is my stash of decorative masks that I have. I'm going to be using embossing paste, and that's going to create a really pretty background. The other things you're going to need, of course, is you're going to need your scoreboard to create the scoring for the rosette. You're going to need your emboss and die machine for all the cutouts for the dies, and palette knives, as well as your paste. Let's get started. So I'm beginning with this beautiful Tulips DSP that I had. I'm cutting it along the 12-inch side. It should be 12-inch, and I'm cutting it 3 inches wide, and then I'm scoring at 3/4 all the way across the entire length of the DSP. And this is going to create the folds that we're going to use, kind of the accordion folds, to create our rosette. And it's just a matter of using your bone folder and very carefully kind of folding the folds back and forth to create a large fan. Now that we've created all our folds, we're going to create a nice fan, and it's going to be a nice half circle fan. I'm going to use a glue gun, so I really recommend using a glue gun in order to adhere our rosette together. And I kind of start in the middle, and I'm doing this on top of the silicone mat that is available in the annual catalog. I really recommend this is a great tool when using hot glue like this. So I'm just kind of like putting it in the middle. I'm holding it till it dries. Once I kind of get it firmed up, then I'm going to kind of go in and hit some of the creases, some of the folds, to make sure that the folds align nicely and we have a nice fan pattern. Again, just adding the little pieces and parts. And that just takes a few minutes, but you do have to hold it in place so that you have that pretty fan look. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and set this aside, and we're going to pick up our contour framelets. And I'm using a piece of gold DSP. I'm going to cut the framelit. Now this cuts an entire label, so what we're going to have to do to create the frame is I'm just using an X-Acto, and I'm just cutting along the I guess it's kind of a line there that the framelit creates. I'm just kind of cutting, it's kind of a dash line. And I'm just going to cut that out because that's going to create our frame. And I'm sure there's other dies or framelits that you may have in your craft room that you can use, but this is what I used. Then I'm going to place that over our rosette, and I'm just going to cut along the edge of our framelit, holding it in place as I do that. Now that I've done that, now I'm going to go ahead and assemble all my flowers. Now I'm using the contrasting colors, using colors that I have in my craft room. Just Jade with Evening Evergreen. Just Jade is a retired color, but hey, I've got some of that cardstock, so I'm going to use it. So this is one of the ways I can ensure that I use all my products. I've put some adhesive sheet behind the darker detailed die, which is the early evergreen, so that it will adhere really fast and nicely to my cardstock. The base for my flowers is Blackberry Bliss, which I am poking out all the little chads to make sure that it is ready for the detailed piece, which again I'm using the adhesive sheet on the background. And this is a little, because I use the adhesive sheet, sometimes all the little pieces and parts, the little chads sometimes stick, so it does take a little bit of work to kind of poke out all the little pieces, and use your X-Acto knife to kind of pull them off, because they will stick to the back of the adhesive sheet. Then I just go ahead and put those together, so I have all my flowers, my rosette, my framelit, all ready to go. So I'm going to put those aside because now we're going to use our decorative mask. I'm using a silicone sheet on top of a piece of paper towel. I'm laying down my decorative mask with my embossing paste, and just very carefully, like you're icing a cake, just spread it over your mask, and ensuring that you get it spread very evenly, and then just pull it off, and we're going to put that aside so it can go ahead and dry. So while that's drying, what we're going to do is we're going to pull in our rosette, because we're going to go ahead and assemble that piece. Now for adhering our rosette to our framelit, I recommend just using your hot glue gun and kind of putting little beads of hot glue on the corners to begin with, and this will kind of tack down the corners to your shape, so that it will adhere nicely, and then go back and adhere more little beads along the edges in the middle. And you can kind of see how I'm just kind of taking advantage of the little open spaces in our accordion pleats to do that. I just kind of have some glue on my fingers, so I'm just kind of wiping down the brushed metallic cardstock. And now that my mask background is dry, I'm kind of showing how we're going to arrange all of our different elements. Now, I always mask a little bit larger than what I need. So now I'm going to cut that mask piece down to 5 1/4 by 4 inches. This makes sure that I have, a nice pretty coverage on my mask textured piece. I'm going to adhere it to my base card. Again, just kind of lining up all my decorative elements that I'm going to add to my card, and kind of laying it out. Now I'm going to pull out my stamp set Flowering Tulips, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to stamp our medallion. I'm just using a piece of basic white cardstock, putting it on an acrylic block, Memento black ink, and my, because this is a photopolymer stamp, I'm using my stamping piercing mat and my silicone sheet there, and I get a really nice, nice stamped image. I'm then going to use some dies, and I'm going to, I believe I'm going to use the stitch framed framelits. These come in circles, and it fits perfectly around that. And then I'm also going to go through my layering circles, and I'm going to find a nice scallop piece that's going to fit around it. And I'm going to use the metallic cardstock, and that fits nicely there. It's because it's popped up so high on the rosette. That's where I really recommend using a another layer, and that is using the layering circle dies, using one of the scalloped edges to create a really nice medallion. What happened here is I picked the wrong size, so I'm going to have to recut that, because I basically picked the size that is the exact size of the medallion. I need to pick something that's just a little bit over, and right there I got it right. So now I'm just going to simply just glue it onto my my gold foil or brush metallic cardstock, whatever you have in your craft room. This is a very forgiving project, because you can use a lot of the materials that you already have in your craft room. So now I'm going to just adhere my my mask background, and I'm going to adhere all. I'm going to arrange my pieces, and I kind of like to have my leaves kind of in the two corners, and then I'm going to put my flowers. So this is what I'm going to put first. Just kind of like lay my leaves down, since they're kind of like my first layer, and I'm going to lay them in the two left-hand corners. And one of these I'm going to pop up, so I'm going to adhere that one directly on the card, and on the second one, the more or less the flowered one, I'm going to pop up, but it doesn't really fit under our framed rosette, so I'm just going to trim that, and then so that it fits right under. I'm going to add some hot glue, and I'm going to go ahead and glue our framed rosette in place. And I have some other flowers. I'm going to kind of put those in place, and using my hot glue gun, and that should, and I have some other little pieces using the Just Jade. Again, it's kind of the lighter color, and put those in place. And I'm also going to be using the hot glue gun to ensure my thank you medallion is in place. So there you go. Isn't that a beautiful 3D card? It's really not that hard. It just has some very easy steps to put it together. And it just creates really a stunning, stunning card. I hope that you like this this video. Please stop by my online store, because I will have suggested products that you can use for this. One of which is the flowering tulips, which is available in the annual catalog. The shadow dies are also available in the annual catalog. They are so versatile. I have some other projects that I've put together with those. So there you go. More inspiration for your crafting. Hey, do more of what makes you happy, and happy stamping.